Many men believe their life is out of control because of time, work, or circumstances. They think they can't move forward because the world is moving too fast, because everything is urgent, because there's no room to breathe. But they're looking at the problem from the wrong angle. I, Brian Tracy, have learned that life doesn't organize itself. Life doesn't arrange itself with luck. Life is mastered with intention. If you don't force yourself to impose order, chaos will decide for you. And that disorder doesn't just consume your energy, it also devours your dreams. Every day you live without structure is a day you waste without realizing it. You don't need more hours, you need more focus. You don't need to do more, you need to do what's right. When you organize yourself, you're not just managing your time, you're directing your life. Because success isn't a distant goal, it's the accumulated result of well-used days. And if you decide today to take control, to force yourself to organize every area of your life, your path will change, your mind will calm, your purpose will align, and everything will begin to respond. Because when you order yourself from within, the world stops pushing you and starts opening up before you. Organizing your life isn't a luxury. It's an urgency. It's the line that separates the man who advances from the one who consumes himself in distractions. Most people live in reactive mode. They wake up late, rush from place to place, forget commitments, arrive just on time, postpone important decisions, and at the end of the day, they don't know where their time went. They live tired, confused, overwhelmed, and yet they believe they need more motivation. But what they lack isn't motivation, it's order. Because without order, your energy scatters, your mind gets confused, your goals dilute, and you become a slave to the lack of control you yourself allow. Organizing your life begins with a firm decision. Stop improvising. Assume that every area of your day, no matter how small it seems, has a real impact on your destiny. And that starts by taking control of your time. It's not about living obsessed with clocks or endless lists. It's about stopping giving your hours away at random. Because time is your most valuable resource, and yet you treat it as if it were infinite. It's not. Every minute you leave undirected is a buried opportunity, a part of your life you will never get back. That's why you need to sit with yourself and design your day. What time do you wake up? What do you do in the first hour? What tasks do you repeat that add nothing? What time of day are you most productive? You can't improve what you haven't measured. And if you don't structure it, you'll keep going in circles. But organizing your life isn't just about time. It's also about space. A disordered environment reflects a saturated mind. The place where you sleep, work, eat, or rest should help you focus, not distract you. It's not about perfection, it's about functionality. Every object should have its place. Every tool should be at hand. Every corner should invite you to move forward, not to stay stuck. Because your environment shapes your behavior more than you imagine. You want mental clarity, but you live with visual noise. You want energy, but you don't even know where your own tools are. Change that. Your physical environment should be your first ally, not your silent enemy. And there's an even deeper truth. The disorder you tolerate outside is a representation of the disorder you accept within. Your habits, your relationships, your emotions, your finances, your goals. Everything needs structure. You can't have peace if you're putting out fires every day. You can't have vision if you don't know what you're focused on today. Order isn't rigidity, it's liberation. It gives you room to rest, to think better, to decide with clarity. It gives you the peace of mind of knowing you're in command, that you don't live at the mercy of what comes up, but according to what you chose with intention. Organization is applied discipline. It's assuming your life won't change magically, that if you don't give it shape, it will warp on its own, that if you don't support it with structure, it will fall at the first distraction. And that doesn't make you a boring man, it makes you a powerful man. Because whoever has control over their time, their environment, and their decisions has control over their destiny. And in a chaotic world, full of scattered men, one who lives with structure stands out, attracts respect, inspires trust, achieves results because he doesn't depend on the emotion of the moment. He depends on a system that backs him up. And that system is built when you force yourself to organize your life, even when it's hard, even when it's uncomfortable at first, because in that effort lies the start of your transformation. An organized life isn't built with good intentions, it's built with systems. And a system is nothing more than a series of intelligent decisions repeated every day without negotiation. When you think big but act without structure, the result is frustration. You have huge dreams, but you don't have habits to sustain them. You have brilliant ideas, but your calendar is full of urgent and empty things. You have talent, but your energy is wasted among interruptions, distractions, and tasks that don't bring you closer to anything. And so the months pass, and nothing changes. Because without a system to organize your life, you live putting out fires you yourself started by not planning. Organizing your life is learning to make high-value decisions. It's understanding that not all activities are equal. Some tasks generate progress, others just take up space. Some bring you closer to your vision, others just make you feel busy. The average man confuses activity with productivity. He runs all day, arrives exhausted at night, but doesn't advance. You can't afford that luxury. You need clarity about what's essential. Which activities move the needle? Which habits sustain your energy? Which actions generate concrete results? Those are the ones that must have priority. The others must be eliminated, delegated, or postponed. Do this. Define your 3 daily priorities. Not 10, not 20. 3. The most important ones. Write them down the night before and the next day, before answering messages, before checking social media, before letting the world interrupt you. Do them. Fulfill your commitment to yourself first, because when you do what's important before what's urgent, your life begins to change. You regain control, you regain peace, you regain the feeling that you're building something worthwhile. Most people live reacting. You must live directing. And that direction doesn't appear on its own. It's designed, protected, repeated. Organizing your life also involves learning to say no, because if you don't know how to set boundaries, you'll be a victim of other people's agendas. Accepting everything, responding to everything, participating in everything fragments you, exhausts you, steals time for what really matters. Every time you say yes to what's irrelevant, you're saying no to what's valuable. That's why an organized man isn't the one who does more things. He's the one who does the right things. And to do them, he needs space, he needs focus, he needs the courage to reject the unnecessary. You're not here to please everyone. You're here to build something great. And that requires order, requires filters, requires difficult decisions. And I want you to understand this with total clarity. It's not that you don't have time. It's that you're not using the time you have well. Every person has the same 24 hours. The difference isn't in quantity, it's in intention. There are men who, with 2 free hours a day, transform their body, their finances, their mindset. How do they do it? With structure, with systems, with priorities. While others complain about time, they're already executing because they know time is neutral, but how you use it isn't. And if you decide to structure every day with intelligence, your salary goes further. Your mind orders itself, your energy multiplies, your entire life transforms. You can't build anything solid if your day is a game of roulette. You need rituals, you need blocks of focus, you need moments of reflection, you need mental, physical, and emotional order, because all of that feeds back on itself. An ordered calendar generates clarity, an ordered room generates peace, an ordered mind makes better decisions. And an ordered life becomes unstoppable. Not because it's perfect, but because it knows where it's going. And that's your new standard, not doing more, but doing what's necessary, with intention, with focus, and with discipline. That's what will pull you out of chaos. That's what will make you free. That's what will turn you into a truly organized and therefore powerful man. Organizing your life also means doing a deep cleaning of your relationships. Yes, because no matter how much order you put in your calendar or on your desk, if you're surrounded by people who drain you, distract you, or sabotage you, your progress will be slow, confused, or non-existent. Most people underestimate the power of their human environment. They think they can grow amid emotional chaos, empty conversations, negative people who live complaining, mocking, wasting time. But that's like trying to run with a backpack full of stones. You can do it, but not for long. If you want order in your life, you need order in your connections. Take an inventory of your relationships. Ask yourself, does this person lift me up or drag me down? Does it challenge me or put me to sleep? Does it push me forward or limit me? It's not about becoming cold or cruel. It's about protecting your energy. Because your energy is your most valuable resource after time. And if you waste it on meaningless conversations, on stagnant relationships, on unnecessary dramas, your whole system collapses. Organization is also emotional, also social, also energetic. That's why order isn't just seen in your agenda. It's noticeable in who you spend your time with, what kind of topics you discuss, what kind of standards you allow around you. Start by setting boundaries. You don't need to respond immediately to every message. You don't have to be available for everyone. You're not obligated to carry other people's problems as if they were your own. Learn to say, not now. I need to focus. Today, I'm not available. Those boundaries aren't selfish. They're wise. Because you can't build a powerful life if you live interrupted, if your energy is taken by others, if every time you want to move forward, something or someone pulls you down. Disorder also takes the form of people, and you must have the courage to detect it. And it's not just about moving away from what limits you, it's also about moving closer to what lifts you up. Seek to surround yourself with people who live with intention, who value their time, who take care of themselves, who talk about ideas, not just complaints, who think about goals, not just problems. When you're near men and women who already live with structure, with focus, with vision, you start absorbing that energy. That silent demand forces you to grow, inspires you, makes you more intentional. Because what surrounds you shapes you, whether you want it or not. And if you don't find that environment, build it. Don't put your progress in the hands of others. Create your own spaces. Choose who you follow on social media. Choose what you consume. Choose what kind of information enters your mind. Because all of that is also part of order. Every stimulus you allow in your day has an effect, and if you don't filter, you get contaminated. And if you get contaminated, your focus scatters. And if your focus scatters, your growth stops. It's that simple. That's why a truly organized man is also a selective man. He knows what to say yes to. He knows what to say no to. And above all, he knows who he walks with. You can't build a powerful life if you're surrounded by human chaos, by emotions that aren't yours, by energies that don't understand your vision. You are called to more, and to get there, you need clarity on every front. Mental, physical, financial, emotional, and relational. Everything is part of the system. Everything intertwines. Everything impacts. So start ordering your connections, not out of pride, but out of vision, not out of rejection, but out of responsibility to yourself. Because your environment is a reflection of your decisions, and if you want your life to reflect greatness, your environment has to start resembling that greatness, starting today, without excuses, without fear, with firmness, with direction, with order. Organizing your life isn't just about schedules and tasks, it's also about purpose. Because it's useless to have every minute planned if you don't know what you're living for. And this is the big mistake of many men. They fill themselves with activities, routines, other people's goals, but inside, they're empty. They fulfill everything except themselves. They run, produce, work, but they don't stop to ask if that effort is taking them where they really want to go. True order begins with direction, with a clear why. Because when you have clarity of purpose, organizing your life is no longer a burden. It's a natural need. Everything starts falling into place because everything starts making sense. This is also a good time to remind you that if this content is helping you refocus and make important decisions, you can subscribe to continue strengthening your mindset, your discipline, and your personal growth. And let me ask you something directly. What's the most disordered area of your life today? And what is it costing you for not putting it in order? Write it in the comments, not for others, but for yourself. Because sometimes naming it clearly is the first step to transforming it firmly. Organization isn't an end, it's a means, a tool that brings you closer to a life with intention, a life that isn't carried away by the current, but decides its own route. And that's why, if you truly want to get organized, you first need to know where you're going, what kind of man you want to be, how you want to live in 5 years, what kind of relationships you want to have, what legacy you want to leave. Because those answers determine what enters your calendar, what enters your wallet, what enters your environment. Purpose is the master filter. Everything that doesn't feed it gets in the way, and what gets in the way gets eliminated. But here comes the most important part. You don't need to have everything figured out to start. Your purpose can be confusing at first. It can change over time, and that's okay. What can't happen is that you live on autopilot without asking yourself anything, without adjusting anything. The organization of your life starts with honesty, with making pauses, with reviewing, with correcting course from time to time. It's like a pilot of a plane. He doesn't maintain perfect direction all the time, but he has a clear destination, and that's why he makes small adjustments constantly. You must do the same, because without review, disorder returns. Without reflection, mistakes repeat. Without intention, time slips away. Make purpose your compass. Every time you doubt whether to do something, ask yourself, does this align me with who I want to be, or does it move me away? And if you don't know the answer, you'll still be closer than if you didn't ask, because you're awakening awareness. You're stopping living on autopilot. You're taking control. And when you do that, your energy changes, your environment responds, your decisions become firmer, and your life begins to have a different rhythm, not the chaotic rhythm of the modern world, but the strategic rhythm of the man who knows what he wants and organizes himself to achieve it. You don't need more time. You don't need another opportunity. You just need to sit with yourself and order your priorities, because where there's order, there's power. Where there's purpose, there's direction. And where there's direction, there are results. So start there today. Turn off the noise. Write, define, review, organize. Because internal clarity becomes external action. And when that happens, nothing can stop you. Because a man with purpose doesn't need daily motivation. He just needs structure. And you're building it right now. Step by step, decision by decision, day by day. That's the true transformation. And it has already begun. Organizing your life also demands that you put your finances in order. Because no matter how hard you work to have productive habits, healthy relationships, or a strong mindset, if your personal finances are in disarray, you'll live with anxiety, stress, and a constant feeling of vulnerability. And there's no real growth amid financial uncertainty. There's no freedom when every expense makes you feel guilty. There's no clear vision if your money disappears without you knowing where it went. That's why it doesn't matter how much you earn. What matters is how you manage it. It's not about having more, it's about knowing how to handle what you already have with intelligence, with intention, and with absolute discipline. Many men have decent incomes, but their lifestyle drags them down. They spend without a plan, buy on impulse, get into debt to show off, and then wonder why they aren't moving forward. The answer is simple. You can't organize your life if you don't organize your money. Money isn't everything, but it influences everything. It affects your mental health, your decisions, your peace, your opportunities. And the first step to having organized finances isn't earning more. It's facing your numbers head on, making a budget, knowing how much comes in, how much goes out, and where it goes. You can't improve what you don't measure. You can't grow if you don't know where you're failing. Do this. Take a notebook and write down your fixed expenses. Then record your variable expenses from the last month. Be brutally honest. Don't justify anything. Just observe. There you'll see clearly what the unnecessary leaks are, which habits are robbing you of freedom, and what adjustments you need to make. Then establish a minimum savings percentage, even if it's 5% of your income. What's important is to start, because that habit trains you to prioritize the future over momentary pleasure. And that mindset is key to any deep transformation. Financial order isn't a punishment. It's a tool of power. It's the foundation for making decisions calmly, for investing with vision, for living with dignity. And here comes an uncomfortable truth. If you don't know how to live on less than you earn, you'll always be poor, even if your income rises, because it's not income that determines your freedom, it's control. And control starts by eliminating emotional spending, by stopping justifying whims with phrases like, "I deserve it," or "You only live once." Yes, you deserve well-being, but sustainable well-being, not one that throws you off balance every month. You deserve to live well, but not at the cost of your peace of mind. You deserve to enjoy, but with strategy, not with guilt. And all of that is achieved when you force yourself to order your finances as an integral part of your life. And don't forget this: money is an extension of your internal structure. If you're chaotic in your mind, you'll be chaotic in your wallet. If you're disorganized with your time, you'll be disorganized with your spending. That's why, by ordering your money, you're ordering your mind. You're training your ability to decide, to postpone gratification, to think long-term. And that's one of the most powerful skills a man can develop, because it turns you into someone reliable, someone who doesn't just generate, but who administers, someone who doesn't just dream, but who builds on a solid foundation. If you organize your life but continue leaving your finances to chance, you're leaving a crack open, and through that crack escape opportunities, energy, self-esteem. Financial organization isn't a technical issue. It's an emotional, mental, spiritual issue. It's a way of telling life, I take seriously what I receive. And when you do that, life responds. Doors open, stress decreases, focus increases. Because you're no longer surviving, you're directing. You're no longer trapped, you're building. So review your accounts, make your budget, eliminate what doesn't contribute, prioritize what expands you, and above all, commit to yourself to live with financial order, no matter how much you earn, because it's not a matter of quantity, it's a matter of mindset. And if your mind is focused, your money will be too. And then you'll be ready to grow for real, with structure, with strategy, with purpose, with power. Organizing your life also involves designing a personal routine that becomes your daily base, your platform for energy, focus, and mental clarity. Many men underestimate the value of a good routine, believing it's boring, repetitive, or unnecessary. But the truth is that routine is one of the most powerful secrets of the world's most successful men, not because it takes away their freedom, but because it gives them structure to use their freedom intelligently. A good routine isn't a prison, it's a runway. And without it, every day begins in chaos, in improvisation, in doubt. Your body takes longer to start, your mind wanders, your energy scatters. And at the end of the day, all that's left is tiredness, frustration, and the feeling of not having done anything truly important. A well-built routine is like mental armor. It's that set of predefined decisions that save you energy, align you with your priorities, and center you on what really matters. You don't have to think about whether you're going to exercise, read, or work on your personal project. It's already decided, and that frees up mental space for you to focus on bigger things. Remember, every decision you leave to chance consumes willpower. And if every morning you have to convince yourself to do the right thing, you're losing energy you could use to advance faster. Start with your morning. How does your day start? Do you wake up late? Do you grab your phone, check social media, shower in a rush, and leave without direction? Or do you get up with intention? Do you give yourself time to breathe, to move, to think? Your morning defines your day. If your first hour is disordered, the rest of the day will carry that disorder. That's why you need to build a morning routine that lifts you up. You don't need 3 hours or magic formulas. You just need simple but powerful habits. Wake up early, hydrate, move your body, read something nourishing, write your priorities, express gratitude. Don't do it perfectly, do it consistently, because true power lies in consistency. Then, structure your workday. Divide your day into blocks. Define clearly when you work, when you rest, when you learn. Don't mix everything. Multitasking is a silent enemy that makes you feel productive while it sabotages you. Do one thing at a time, but do it with excellence. Use timers, eliminate distractions, have specific objectives for each block. Every hour should have an owner, every block should have a purpose, because if you don't do it, laziness will, social media will, other people's urgencies will, and at the end of the day, create a closing ritual. Evaluate what you achieved. Write down what didn't go well. Plan the next day. Give thanks for what you have. Disconnect from the noise. Give your mind the signal that it's time to rest. Don't go to sleep with chaos. Don't end the day with loose ends floating around. Close the day with intention, with awareness, because that teaches your mind that you're in command, that there's structure, that there's order. And over time, that becomes an internal feeling of power, of direction, of real progress. It doesn't matter if you fail one day. It doesn't matter if you deviate from the plan. What's important is to return. Return to the structure. Return to the routine. Return to what gives you strength. Because every time you do, you become stronger, more disciplined, more resilient. And that's worth more than any passing motivation. That's what builds a man with purpose, a man who doesn't live in reaction, but in creation, a man who doesn't depend on his mood, but on his system. So design your routine, write it down, adjust it, protect it. Don't let others break it, because your routine is your temple, your center, your secret tool. And in a world full of disorder, the one who has a routine has an advantage, because he doesn't start from zero every day. He starts from his best version. And that, repeated over weeks, months, years, becomes inevitable success, solid greatness, a destiny that wasn't chance, but a consequence of having chosen order as a lifestyle. And you can start today with a small adjustment, with a firm decision, with a system that's yours, made to your measure, sustained by your vision, defended by your character. And that changes everything. Organizing your life also means mastering the use of your attention, because at its core, your life is what you pay attention to. If your mind is constantly fragmented, jumping between notifications, random thoughts, and unresolved tasks, then your life will also be fragmented. No matter how many goals you have or how good your plan sounds, if you don't control your focus, you'll never execute anything with true depth. And that's the big problem of this era. Men no longer have the capacity for concentration. They live exposed to noise, to constant distractions, and at the end of the day, they wonder why they feel like they didn't advance, why they're exhausted without having done anything truly important. The answer is simple. Their attention was hijacked. Focus isn't something that appears on its own, it's something that's trained. And like all training, it requires conscious effort. You have to decide when to disconnect from the noise. You have to create spaces for deep work, for deep thinking, for real silence. If you don't, you'll always be in a state of reaction, jumping from stimulus to stimulus, doing tasks halfway, accumulating frustration. A man who doesn't control his attention is like an archer shooting arrows without looking at the target. A lot of activity, but no impact. A lot of movement, but no real achievement. Want to advance faster? Start by eliminating everything that steals your focus. Turn off notifications. Silence groups that don't add value. Delete apps that only entertain but don't build you. Schedule specific times to check messages, answer emails, consume content. Don't be a slave to your phone. Use technology, but don't let it use you. Your mind is your most powerful tool, and you can't leave it exposed all day to digital disorder. Every interruption, no matter how small, breaks your flow, lowers your energy, weakens your will. And if you don't stop it, it becomes a habit of distraction, a habit of mediocrity. And it's not about living like an isolated monk. It's about living with awareness, choosing moments of focus, protecting your time as if it were gold, because it is. You can't do deep work amid superficial interruptions, and you can't build an extraordinary life with ordinary focus. The world values men who know how to concentrate, who can sit for 2 hours to solve a problem, who know how to think without fleeing every second, who aren't frightened by silence. Because silence isn't emptiness. Silence is the space where powerful ideas are born. Create focus rituals. For example, every morning before talking to anyone, dedicate an hour to your most important project, without distractions. Just you, your mind, and your task. Train your brain to sustain attention. At first, it will be hard. You'll feel restless. You'll want to check your phone. Resist it. Stay. Because every minute you manage to sustain focus is a victory, and those small accumulated victories will make you unstoppable. Because in a world of distraction, the one who masters his focus masters his destiny. Remember this: where your attention goes, your life goes. If your attention is scattered, your life will be. But if your attention is directed, your life will take shape. And the best part is that you don't need special talent to achieve it. You just need intention, discipline, and the courage to say no to what doesn't build. Every day you can train your focus like you train a muscle. And the stronger your attention becomes, the more powerful your capacity to create, to solve, to impact becomes. So today, do a deep cleaning of your mental world. Remove the unnecessary. Simplify your environments. Create spaces for real concentration. Because a man who cares for his focus cares for his power. And that power, when combined with structure, clarity, and purpose, changes everything, because you no longer live reacting. You live directing. You no longer live distracted. You live awake. You no longer live in chaos. You live in control. And that, in this era of noise, is an advantage few have. You can have it, if you choose, starting today, to protect the most valuable thing you have: your capacity for attention, your inner compass, your creative force, your mind. Organizing your life also demands that you put your emotions in order, because no matter how much you plan, how much you work, or how much you control your environment, if you don't know how to manage what you feel, you'll live sabotaging your own progress. Many men fall into this error. They believe organization is only logical, technical, strategic, and they forget that their emotional state defines their daily behavior. You can't be consistent if your emotions drag you. You can't make good decisions if you live dominated by fear, guilt, or frustration. And you can't build a powerful life if you don't have internal peace. Emotional order isn't visible at first glance, but it's the invisible foundation of any truly stable life. Your emotions aren't your enemy, but they also aren't your guide. They're signals, information, and you must learn to listen to them without turning them into dictators. You feel anxiety? Observe it. Ask yourself what message it brings. You feel anger? Examine its cause. You feel sadness? Give it space, but don't immerse yourself in it. Emotional organization begins when you stop reacting impulsively to every emotion that appears, when you understand that you aren't what you feel. You are the one who chooses what to do with what you feel. And that distinction is the beginning of your inner maturity. Many live trapped in emotional cycles. They get motivated, act, something goes wrong, they get frustrated, they give up, and they start again. That cycle isn't a character flaw. It's a lack of emotional management. If you don't know how to sustain effort when enthusiasm drops, you're at a disadvantage, because positive emotion propels you, yes, but it doesn't last forever. What takes you far isn't feeling good every day. It's doing what's right, even when you don't feel like it. And that's only possible when there's order inside, when your emotions don't decide for you, but when you observe them, process them, and move forward with focus. A practical way to organize your emotions is to create a daily space for introspection. It doesn't have to be long, just a few minutes each night to review how you felt during the day. What triggered you? What hurt you? What made you happy? Write it down if necessary, because what isn't named festers, and what repeats without consciousness becomes a pattern. You need to identify your emotional patterns if you want to free yourself from them. What takes you out of focus? What makes you procrastinate? What kind of thoughts cloud you? That information is gold, because once you detect it, you can start deactivating it, substituting it, overcoming it. And remember, it's not about suppressing emotions. It's about channeling them. Sadness can become reflection, anger, impulse to act, anxiety, a signal to redirect. But all of that is only possible if there's internal structure, if you're willing to look inward, to do the uncomfortable work of knowing yourself, understanding yourself, healing yourself. Because that silent, emotional, deep work is what determines whether your external organization has firm roots or not. You can't put order outside if you're broken inside. Sooner or later, the internal chaos filters through. Start seeing your emotions as indicators, not as absolute truths. Not everything you feel is real. Not every negative thought deserves your attention. Not every intense emotion deserves immediate action. You're not here to react. You're here to direct. And directing also implies mastering your internal world with compassion, yes, but also with firmness, because your peace isn't found by chance. It's built. And that peace, when you cultivate it every day, becomes an anchor, your refuge, your most stable source of power. So, if you truly want to organize your life, start by organizing your emotional world. Not to control everything, but to navigate it with more awareness. Not to avoid pain, but to understand it. Not to repress what you feel, but to use it as fuel. Because every emotion is an opportunity to know yourself, to strengthen yourself, to transcend. And when you learn to do that with constancy, your life becomes clearer, lighter, more focused. You no longer drag yourself inside. You walk with firmness. You no longer live on autopilot. You live with intention. And that, in a world full of emotional noise, makes you an exceptional man. One who not only plans well, but lives in peace. And from that peace, everything else flows with order, with direction, with power. Organizing your life also requires that you put order in your relationships. Because no matter how much you discipline yourself, how much you advance, or how clear your vision is, if you're surrounded by people who subtract energy from you, who sabotage your growth, or who constantly push you toward disorder, sooner or later you'll fall again. The relationships you choose are an extension of your mental environment. They lift you up or drag you down. They give you clarity or fill you with noise. They push you toward your best version or pull you back to your weakest version. That's why, if you truly want to transform your life, it's not enough to work on yourself. You have to examine, filter, and reorganize whom you allow into your world. Make a mental list right now. Who are the people who most influence your decisions, your mood, your daily routine? Who inspires you to be more disciplined, more conscious, more ordered? And who distracts you, leads you to lose focus, or fills you with thoughts you no longer want to cultivate? It's not about judging or fighting with anyone. It's about choosing with maturity, because a relationship can be comfortable but toxic. It can have years of history but be completely disconnected from your future. And you don't have the duty to drag connections along just out of nostalgia. Your only obligation is to yourself, to your growth, to your life mission. Often, personal disorder persists because there are relationships that feed it. Friends who normalize chaos, who celebrate you when you give up, who justify your lack of commitment. Partners who don't share a vision for the future, who don't support you in your discipline, who prefer a stagnant life because changing demands too much. Family members who criticize every attempt at improvement, who ridicule your goals, who project their own fears onto you. You can't change others, but you can change the boundaries you set. And those boundaries are the most powerful tool of emotional and strategic order you can apply in your relationships. Define your values clearly, what you allow, what you don't. What conversations do you accept? What behaviors do you block? And not just with words, with actions. Because respect isn't demanded, it's modeled. If you take yourself seriously, others will too. If you respect yourself, your environment will reorganize. Only people who don't resonate will move away. Those who vibe with you will come closer. You don't need to force anything. You just need to be coherent. Living in order is also having healthy, clear relationships based on mutual purpose, not on emotional need. And that's built by choosing, by renouncing what's comfortable but destructive, and by opening yourself to what's new, even if it's uncomfortable at first. Now it's not about isolating yourself, it's about surrounding yourself with those who help you sustain order. Seek men who already live with focus, who have already walked the path you want to travel. Learn from them, listen to them, get inspired. And if you don't have them near, consume them in books, conferences, content that feeds your mindset, because your environment can also be digital. And if every day you consume voices that remind you of your purpose, that demand more from you, that make you think more deeply, that environment starts reprogramming.